Hello, this is Rich Moore representing the Langley Aerosol Research Group, and I'm specifically going to be talking about our in situ cloud measurements for Activate. So the photos on the bottom here, you can see the two different probes that the large group deployed for Activate, a cloud droplet probe on the lower right figure that's mounted on the fuselage, and a CAPS probe, which is a combination probe containing the CAS and the SIP probes, and that's located on the starboard wing, the lower left photo. So from these probes, you can see a summary of the different archived geophysical variables for each probe. From the cloud droplet probe, we're archiving the aerosol and cloud droplet number size distribution greater than 2 microns in diameter and less than 50 microns in diameter. We also take that size distribution and integrate it to get the total number of particles. And assuming a liquid water density of 1 gram per cubic centimeter, we calculate the liquid water content using the size distribution, as well as calculated the effective radius and the effective variance. For the CAS probe, we're calculating a similar set of variables. The main difference between the CAS and the CDP is the size range. The CDP's lower size limit is 2 microns, and the CAS's lower size range is half a micron. Both top out at 50 microns. One thing to think about when you're looking at these two probes is that the CDP has the open path that's shown in that top figure, whereas the CAS is the lower part of the bottom figure, has a shroud, and so the shroud may create artifacts, particularly in liquid clouds, that may result in droplet shatter. And so when we're using these two different probes, we want to be aware of the differences regarding how that measurement is made. And if there was a discrepancy, as we'll discuss on the next slide, we tend to favor the CDP for being more reliable for cloud droplet measurements. So thinking a little bit about the data and some best practices for using the data. Of course, we want to remind our users that to read the iCart file headers, and we recognize that sometimes the header information doesn't translate into the merged files, and so we'd encourage you to find the raw data files in order to read the complete header. An important thing to note is that unlike many of the aerosol number, concentration, and size distribution measurements, the cloud probe data are reported at ambient temperature and pressure, as well as ambient relative humidity. And so that's different from some aerosol measurements that are reported at standard temperature and pressure. And so typically there's a conversion factor in those data files for the STP to ambient conversion, and the users will want to make sure that that's being used. The CDP sample volume is used to convert the count rate measured by the probe to a volumetric concentration using a constant sample area that was obtained from manufacturer calibration, as well as the measured aircraft true airspeed. The CAS sample volume is computed in a very similar way, again using a constant sample area, which is assumed to be 0.25 square millimeters. And so unlike the CDP, because of the shroud, the CAS cannot be calibrated, and so that 0.25 is assumed, and that constitutes a source of uncertainty in this measurement. Bin size distribution concentrations are normalized by the log, that's the base 10 log of the bin width, dn log dp. And the sizing is calibrated assuming the refractive index of water. And so any differences in the aerosol refractive index, say for coarse mode dust or sea salt aerosols, may lead to some sizing biases when using the size distribution data to not look at the water droplets, but to instead look at aerosols. And so as I mentioned before, generally the CDP is the best place to start when looking at cloud data. It has several design advantages over the CAS, in particular that open measurement path rather than the shrouded sample. And the sample area is directly measured by the manufacturer rather than assumed, which results in less uncertainty. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about using the cloud data, please contact Michael Shook at the email address below. Thanks for your attention.